Women make up almost half the workforce today and are assuming large numbers of leadership positions as well. We look at the challenges that women face in the Long Island business community.
The problem is I think we don't have enough women at the top, or even men at the top, that are sponsoring and really trying to actively nominate women to bring them forward and get them in the pipeline.
From top-level jobs to women-owned businesses, we discuss the changing roles for women in the workforce of Long Island.
The fact that we do have the Long Island Railroad, you can be from here in Manhattan 35 minutes, does provide an alternative where young women can start their careers in the city, get the experience they need, and then perhaps find their way back onto Long Island to either start small businesses or to start a family and to begin to work for maybe some of the mid-sized companies that live here on Long Island.
It's all straight ahead on this edition of the Long Island Business Report.
Funding for this program has been made possible by Charlotte and David Eckert and the Roush Foundation. And now, from Molloy College at the Madison Theater, here's Jim Paymar with the Long Island Business Report.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jim Paymar with the Long Island Business Report. In this edition, we are discussing the ever-evolving challenges that women face in Long Island's business communities. Joining me now to discuss this is Donna Haynes. She is the president of the Women Economic Developers of Long Island, also vice president of Fidelity National Title Insurance. And we have with us Dr. Maureen McKenzie. She's a professor of business here at Molloy College, as well as a former manager at the Allstate Insurance Office, the New York Regional Office. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, women have made unbelievable inroads in business over the last generation. You're now 49% of the workplace. You have about 50% of the college degrees, but I saw one statistic. 2.5% of the CEOs. Why is that, Donna?
Well, I think you made a good point here. We are making great strides, and we have in the past 50 years. And we currently make up more than half of managerial and professional positions, but there's a main drop-off. We go up down to like 14% when we start talking about executives, and it gets even smaller when we talk about CEOs. And the problem is I think we don't have enough women at the top, or even men at the top, that are sponsoring and really trying to actively nominate women to bring them forward and get them in the pipeline, get them in the position so that they are prepared for those executive type and CEO positions. So although we've come a long way, we've stopped. We've kind of slowed down a bit. And in the past couple of years, we've actually stopped growing. And I think that's why we need to have this conversation again, keep it active.
What about starting businesses, Dr. McKenzie? Is that difficult for women too? Are there limitations? Are there new glass ceilings in terms of getting credit or being accepted in the business community?
I think there is a driving force of women who start small businesses, and percentage-wise, it's very strong. Oftentimes, though, real successful venture capitalists will pursue those ideas for individuals who are really driving their business forward. And many times when women start business, it's because it fits into their family culture. They're able to raise their children, do what they need to do, and still as run their business. The problem lies in that we have a culture where really the driving force of growing the business many times doesn't match the role of women as both executive of their small company as well as mother, home caregiver. Also, we have the elder care issue where our generation is taking care of children as well as taking care of parents. And much of that falls upon the woman in the home. So that sometimes causes a challenge as well.
What resources are there on Long Island to help women foster their professional careers?
There are a lot of wonderful organizations, one of them being WEDLI, the organization that I'm a part of, and that helps executive level women, decision-making women that are involved with economic development here on Long Island. It gives them an opportunity to network. But there are other organizations such as LIWA, the Long Island Women's Agenda, and they're actually an umbrella organization to probably over 50 other organizations. They're great resources. You can find out about them on the internet. They have a lot of leadership. They have family life balance programs, and then they also have sort of industry-specific support as well. And you'll also find it at the bar associations. They have a lot of support for women in terms of not only in the legal profession, but just helping promote women in leadership.
Dr. McKenzie, what can we do to create more opportunities, more options for women to start businesses, to become higher level management people in businesses that exist here on Long Island?
Women need mentors. And oftentimes that may start at college, at the college level, where they may find a professor that they resonate with, and they have to have the courage to come out and say, ask that professor, will you stay my mentor even after I graduate? And I have had that relationship with a number of my graduate students where every 3, 6, 9 months I'll hear from them, and they'll more discuss an opportunity. Can you take a look at my resume? Should I get into SHRM, which is a site in human resource management? And I will help them and also introduce them to other successful women who can then begin to help them reach out to other successful women. So it brings them through the networking of the relationships on Long Island.
Donna, you've worked in business. You worked at IBM. You know what it's like. The demands can be treacherous. You've got 4 kids. I mean, how do you balance having kids and having a demanding job, and making sure that you're doing both jobs in a proper way? I mean, it's an almost impossible stretch that most men don't have.
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is, if you're fortunate to have a partner, do that. Let them be your partner. You can't say, I have to do it all, and a lot of times you want to. So the first thing I would say is really let your partner be your partner in all aspects of your life. But the other part is just knowing where your priorities are. There are times where work is going to go. Is going to, fall to the wayside, and you want to be at a meeting, or you want. So you really have to know when you can do that, and I think that comes from experience. You know which meetings you have to be at, and you may have to miss a child's event, but there are other times where you say, you know what, I know I can miss this and make it up, or maybe I could rearrange it. But it is tough, and I've had to make life choices, and you don't always know if you made the right ones until you could look back when your kids are grown and say, I made the right choices. I hope I made the right ones. I left the corporate world in New York City because I was traveling. I was on the road when my 3 children were little.
Right.
And I made a decision to work locally here on Long Island and to change industries. I think it's working. But you just hope to get through that day where you remember to get everything done for the children, the family, and you hit the marks at work.
But what about corporations? Don't they have to be a little bit more sensitive? Because, I mean, they can kill you. I mean, they can drag you around the world, and you can be home 1 or 2 or 3 days a month. And how are you going to be part of a family?
Absolutely.
And how can you nurture children when you're gone all the time? And I know personally women who've don't have great relationships with their kids who've given it up for their careers.
I've seen the path of women who've gone down where they do not marry and they do not have their children. And this is going back when I was coming up through the Allstate culture, and these women made decisions that they would follow. There was a point in time where they would tell you on a Thursday that you were being promoted to another region, and you were reporting on Monday. And many of the senior executive men had no problem. Their wives were home and they were going to pack it up. But the women oftentimes couldn't handle that. I fortunately was at a point where I had very strong mentors, and I remember being sent to Chicago, and I lived there for 6 months. And the company policy at the time, you'd fly home every other weekend, but my kids were 2 and 4, and I came home every weekend. And so there was much more of a flexibility in the way I lived, knowing that I had children and they wanted to keep me. So there are corporations, and there really are. It's whoever your boss and your boss's boss is, they're the ones who make that decision that for you and you're the right person in this role, that they will help you move forward. But that may not always be the culture of the organization.
Donna, in the beginning we started talking about why there aren't more women CEOs. I mean, I can name a handful of the Fortune 500, PepsiCo, IBM, Xerox, Kraft, but beyond that, not too many. And I guess I'm a little bit curious about this whole old boys culture that exists. If you're not part of it, if you're not on the country club golf course on Sunday and you're shooting 18 holes, maybe you're not going to be able to kind of finagle your way up the ladder.
It's interesting. I think that does present some challenges for women, but you have to know how to work around that. And I think the women that have made it to the top have worked around that and found inroads. And I think that's one of the things that WEDLI, the Women Economic Developers, does. We were created about 25 years ago, and for that purpose, it was called the 19th hole. because these women wanted to put a deal together. They wanted to put a big real estate deal together. They had the finance people, and these women sat down and did it. And they said, wouldn't this be great if we could do this all the time like this and network with women? And that's how it started. So you have to find a group of like-minded women, whether they're in your organization, your industry, and really get them to rally behind you. And these are people that can network just like they did on the golf course. And statistics show that companies that have a higher representation of women in their senior executive or on their board do better financially. So regardless of gender or how men are different, if you have a diverse workforce and you have a diverse executive team, your profits are going to be better. So it's good for the bottom line. It's good business. It's not really a feminist issue. It's not about women versus men. It's just good, plain old business.
It's good business,
Good
right?
business, yeah.
What about the schools? What role can they play, Dr. McKenzie? I mean, you're a professor here at Malloy. You know, we're training young entrepreneurs, young business people. What can colleges do to smooth the way a little bit for this next generation that's coming up, the generation of women?
The courses that I teach are more leadership, management, ethics, organizational behavior type of coursework. And that's where a lot of these conversations do take place, the idea of how power is displayed in the workforce. And what we start to help young people coming into business think about is that you cannot look at just what you desire, you have to look at what others desire. So if you have a talented person, regardless of whether it is a man or a woman, you're seeing more and more men who are having to take care of their children, especially if men are divorced and they might many times have full share custody, that this expectation that if you're a woman you may not be able to show up, but if you're a man you are expected to show up, that sometimes is a detriment to men as well. So this idea that you have to ask or you have to have more awareness that the family issues cross both men and women. And so heightening that awareness of people before they leave school so that when they move into senior leadership, they have more of an open mindset of family issues.
Donna, how important are organizations for women to grow businesses or to grow talent or to grow teamwork or network like your organization?
I think they're wonderful. I think women need them, whether they're industry specific, you know, whether it's because you're an accountant or it's a bar association for women. Because I look back at my career and I wish when I was in my 30s and deciding to make a change for family reasons, I wish I had people that had gone through what I did and to sort of pick their brain. But it also helps women to grow professionally. You learn a lot. We're not just a networking group, also we talk about educating each other, what's going on in the industry. We want to make sure that each of us are prepared, all of the women, that when they go on either their sales call or they're trying to make a deal, that they have all the information that's needed, that they can bring value to their corporation. So I think they're indispensable, these organizations. But you have to find the ones that are right for you. When I came down to out to Long Island, there are lots of organizations. You can be out every night and every morning. So you need to go sort of feel them out and then find the ones that works for you, your industry, your personality, or whatever it is that you need to get out of it and to get involved in them.
What about boards of directors at these companies? You know, are they sensitive? Are they thinking about, okay, we have gone through a generational shift. This is not the 50s or 60s anymore. We need to incorporate and groom these people and help them grow and make them inclusive in the company. Do you think that that's going on in the boardrooms? Are they discussing that actively?
I don't know if that is happening at the board level. Oftentimes that has to happen, or it should happen at the board level, but the board usually will select their senior leader, and their senior leader is selected because they feel that senior leader is going to move their company forward.
But shouldn't that be part of the criteria?
Of course it should be. But it also should be about the individual and what they can bring to the table. So it's really about getting gender out of the conversation, if it's possible. And I know we're not there yet, but if you can remove gender and have, similar to, we've had studies where they have orchestra, you know, auditions, and they just put a screen in front of the person, and you have many more women being hired into professional orchestras, where before that it was a very male-driven organization. So it's almost if we could be blind to gender and really look at results.
And look at talent,
Just
ability.
look at talent, results, where you're coming from, what can you bring to the table, and get away from this idea of who knows who. But oftentimes that's how we, through the networking, through the collegial relationships, just where we're hoping to grow, this is oftentimes where these jobs do come from. Many jobs come from network.
Donna, how about the issue of pay equality? There is no true parity at this point in time. The 2010 census indicated that about a woman made about 87% of what a man made, and that has actually decreased in the last couple of years to 85%. So that's not a good thing.
Right. Those are New York State numbers, which are actually a little bit above national average. So that part is good. What's concerning is that they have dropped in the past year or so. Once again, a lot of things that could be done on this. And I just want to point out, though, first, a lot of people assume right away, well, the disparity is because women stay home to either take care of their family or their children or their adults. Even if you pull those numbers out, there's still a disparity between women and men's compensation. It starts as early as when they get out of school, get out of college. There are proof that shows that men earn 20% more within 4 years or 5 years being out of college. And I think that the challenge is that women don't know that they can negotiate salaries. And that, too, is something that we're trying to address and educate women, both at the college level and for professionals. And so you can address it. And you have to realize, if you're starting at a lower salary over the course of your lifetime, even if you always get those same increases, you're going to fall drastically behind.
Because you're starting at a lower point.
Because you're starting at a lower point. So women have to be trained to ask for those raises and to know that they can negotiate. And there are courses being offered and programs being offered to help train women to negotiate. It's not something we do comfortably.
And Dr. McKenzie, I would imagine, you know, I've been in environments where I found out that a counterpart was making more than I was making. That certainly wouldn't make you feel comfortable being a woman, knowing that a man's making more for doing no more work or being no more excellent at his work.
Yes, it's true. And what's interesting, too, is that not only do we have this equity issue in the inability to negotiate, but there is also somewhere, parts of this country, where you will find women believe men should make more money than women. And that is also a fascinating conversation when you meet those individuals and say, well, men have to support their family. You know, the United States is really just a group of regions, and many times we're very much in a metropolitan area, so we have much more of a perception that men and women are equal, but there are certainly areas in this country where there is that perception isn't held as true. So we do have to get the thought that women should be proud and should feel that they are entitled to their salary and not feel embarrassed by it. And we have to, again, it comes as we socialize the women up and we bring them through their really high school level. And then by the time they get to college, they're starting their networking, and then they're prepared when they walk out into the business world.
Donna, does Long Island have the necessary resources, the educational facilities, the protocols set up in the workplace to grow women in the workforce?
Yes, they do. I think you're going to see, I mean, first of all, Long Island is a very highly educated area. I mean, a big suburb of New York City. We have many wonderful colleges like Molloy here, so we have great resources to us. But we also have large corporations, and I think they have been part of that conversation. They're looking at the bottom line. They understand the value of diversity on their executive workforce. So I think Long Island is really just a microcosm that you see around the country in other major cities. So we do have the resources there, and I think, as I said, it's really, this conversation's been in the forefront the past couple of years, so I think we're going to make some good strides.
And Dr. McKenzie, does Long Island offer anything that other regions of the country don't have to offer in terms of business opportunities for women?
Well, the access to New York City. And I know oftentimes Long Island is in itself obviously an economic system, but the fact that we do have the Long Island Railroad, you can be from here in Manhattan 35 minutes, does provide an alternative where young women can start their careers in the city, get the experience they need, and then perhaps find their way back onto Long Island to either start small businesses or to start a family and to begin to work for maybe some of the mid-sized companies that live here in Long Island.
What about the education of men about women? It seems that is kind of a linchpin here in changing mindsets. Is that something we need to do at the school level, or is it something?
Yes, it's funny. I bring this up a lot of times in my graduate discussions of I'll say to a man, when you have your children, what do you say to your daughters? Because I suggest that women are socialized down a certain path. And they're like, well, I tell my daughter she has a choice and she could be anything she wants, and if she wants to work, she can work. So I said, do you say that to your sons? Oh no, they have to work. I said, do you see the
Right,
difference?
right.
So we don't treat them the same. And we almost have to treat, again, get gender out of off the table, so even young men can make that decision of go down the path that you want and don't always feel that burden that you have to do it all. You're going to find a life partner who really together you'll decide, will you or will you not have children? Will you live high and with an affluent lifestyle, or perhaps you'll live more simply? So I think it's more of a conversation of not feeling this horrible pressure that they once had to feel.
And what about role models? I mean, we have an African American president now. I mean, what a fantastic role model. For women, who are those role models? Who do you tell your daughters to look up to? I mean, who are the people out there?
Well, I think there are different levels. I remember having great role models, especially at IBM. It was a wonderful place for women to work. And I mean, I think you could see that because when I was there were women at all different levels, and now you have a woman who's running it, she's a CEO. But I think it's to look at them at all levels. You know, you could see a role model could be your mother, how she handles situation, how you handle people, because that transfers over to business and your professional life. But also just seeing women. The new Yahoo president, she was, 6 months pregnant when she was.
That was amazing.
But it was also amazing that everybody was in the news. Well, how many CEOs, male CEOs' wives are pregnant? Well, they take the position and it's not a discussion. So it's just interesting that became a discussion, but it shows, hey, she's pregnant, she could do it. So it's not going to stop you. She was the right person for the job.
And they were willing to wait for her and give
Your
her
brain
some
still works
flexibility.
during pregnancy. You know, she could still function, and with all the technology, she didn't have to physically be there. So I mean, I hats off to Yahoo for doing that.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yep.
Where do you see things going in the future? I mean, if you had to kind of like rub your crystal ball and say it's the year 2030, for example, where are women in the workforce?
I think that it will begin to almost to a leapfrog as these young women who are 22, 25, 27, and they start to move forward. I think you'll start to see choices being made and they will be able to move forward. Also, they're a generation that may not feed into the corporate ladder of a linear career. They may demand a nonlinear career, which is what oftentimes we've had to experience, where you have your babies, you go back, you might take a back seat, and you kind of go forward again. I've had a number of different careers, and I think these young women will expect that going in, where we were hoping for it, where I think they're going to expect it. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with you, and also the fact that we're having these conversations again. The past year, I've gone to more engagements and organizations that are speaking about this that I hadn't heard in the past 10 years. So it's on the forefront again. People are talking about it. So I think when you combine the two, you have the new generation of women coming up, and you have this on the forefront, people thinking about it, and leaders, and realizing it's good business. I think you're going to see major changes.
Well, listen, I want to thank you both for being here with us today. You've offered a lot of insights. It's been an interesting conversation, one that we want to follow up on the Long Island Business Report. And again, thanks for being with us here today. And coming up on the Long Island Business Report, the fast-growing tech economy on Long Island.
I mean, I think we can grow into a Silicon Valley. We have all the resources here. It's really just bringing all these pieces together in a centralized place.
There's a lot of value here, but a lot of things in business, they won't make the investment until they're comfortable that there's a chance of success. And the only way to prove it is to do it first, and then people see, oh, that's the model, this can work here too.
The real estate market across Nassau and Suffolk counties.
We need to get this entitlement process shortcutted and be able to provide the housing that our youth needs here on the island, so that we can attract other companies and expand the tax base and expand the growth and employment here.
How to make social media work for your business.
Number one, you really need to know who your brand is, what you're all about. Number two, really understand who your target really is, what kind of consumer is really going to perhaps respond to this? Is it a geographic thing? Is it a specific target, a hobby niche, whatever it is that your business is?
Great point.
Right?
Social media is not the same thing to everyone. So
It's all different.
Just because you have a business on Long Island doesn't mean you must have a Facebook account or a Twitter account. As Cindy indicated, you have to find your audience and basically figure out where the best return on your investment is going to be for your time and test these venues.
For more on the Long Island Business Report, log on to our website. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Jim Paymar. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Long Island Business Report. See you next time.
Funding for this program was made possible by Charlotte and David Eckert and the Roush Foundation.